Grenada, the stage is set. Brilliant minds, fresh perspectives. It's more than competition. It's confidence, creativity, and critical thinking in action. The Grenlec debates, powering bright ideas.
You're watching the 2025 edition of the Grenlec debates. Welcome. We're now in the third round of the competition, the quarterfinals, and the debates are getting even more exciting. In this round, our debaters will challenge ideas, test their reasoning, and think quickly on their feet as they tackle the theme, food and water security. Keep in mind, every debate you see here is impromptu. Teams receive the broad theme to study beforehand, but their specific motion is drawn just before the match. From there, they get 30 minutes to prepare without any assistance from their teachers or coaches. It's a true test of knowledge, confidence, and teamwork. I am Khaled Courtney, a proud former Grenlec debater, here to guide you through today's match. Let the debates begin. I now call this house to order. This match is between St. David's Catholic Secondary School and St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary School. The motion is, be it resolved that exposing all secondary school students in Grenada to modern agricultural methods will strengthen national food security.
Good morning is extended to worthy opponents, honorable judges, most accurate timekeepers, and everyone present. Today, my team and I stand in full support of today's motion. Be it resolved that exposing all secondary school students in Grenada to modern agricultural methods will strengthen national security. As the first speaker of the proposition, I will give key definitions and say how modern agricultural methods provide job opportunities. My second speaker will further elaborate by saying teaching secondary school students modern agricultural technology can adapt them to climate change. And also with education, there will be less input. My POI speaker will engage in a friendly conversation with the opponents. And lastly, my rebuttal speaker will withdraw all the flaws from their case. According to the Oxford Dictionary, exposing is to make something visible or known to reveal something. According to the World Health Organization, food security is when people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food for an active and healthy life. According to the Oxford Dictionary, agricultural methods can be defined as ways in which persons can maintain and grow crops. Modern, also according to the Oxford Dictionary, belong to present or recent times. Opponents. Did you know by exposing secondary school students to modern agricultural methods, they are exposed to new job opportunities? Well, let me enlighten you. There are many job opportunities in the agricultural sector. Some of these jobs include farming and teaching, which can be very useful in ensuring food security. By exposing the secondary school students to these modern agricultural methods like terracing and greywater recycling, it gives them hands-on learning and agricultural practices that ensure food security for our nation. By this, students can come from low-income families, have a way to provide for their families, and lessen struggles. According to national agricultural policies, they seek to diversify the agricultural sector, improving market access. By exposing all secondary school students to the modern agricultural methods, this can ensure food security nationally. Picture this, a low-income family already struggling to keep the lights on. Father nowhere to be found and an alcoholic mother. But if taught in schools, the child or children would not really have to worry where the next meal would come from. Remember, agriculture is the key to success. This can drive the child to create their own garden, providing food with necessary nutrients for their family. That small garden can also grow, glow, and flourish into a bigger business, providing and aiding national security. Audience, I am afraid. No, I am certain that if we do not expose all secondary school students to modern agricultural methods, there simply won't be enough job opportunities, which will ensure food security nationally. I thank you.
Judges, chairperson, audience. We stand here today to conflict upon the moot, be it resolved that exposing all secondary school students in Grenada to modern agricultural methods will strengthen national food security, to which my team and I firmly disagree. As the first speaker, I'll be defining key terms and stating our stance on the moot. Our second speaker will further cement our points in your mind so that you believe we are correct. Our POI speakers will have a constructive conversation upon the moot. And our rebuttal speaker will take all the information previously stated and put it into one final paragraph, in one final speech, to put your minds in our direction. The following definitions are taken from Cambridge Dictionary. Exposing is the process of revealing or uncovering. Secondary school students are children who attend a learning institution at the secondary level. Modern agricultural methods are practices that improve agriculture and belongs to the present or recent times. Strengthen means to make or become stronger. And finally, national food security is the state of having reliable access to a sufficient quantity of affordable, nutritious food by a nation. Firstly, the moot speaks on all secondary students. Are we going to drag class by class by class, day after day after day, over to someone else's farm to expose them to these modern agricultural methods? That seems quite impractical. Now, what about the students that are not interested? Are we going to drag them over and just have them kick about all day, looking at things they don't care about? This will do absolutely nothing. They will look at these things that they see as a waste of time and not even leave it in their minds. How will this improve national food security? Stick with the students that are focusing on agricultural science. These students are going to be our future farmers. They should know about the modern agricultural methods, not some delinquent who sees this farm as a field trip. We should focus on those who really care about the craft. And finally, well, not finally, but what secondary school student, in their mind, after seeing this and being exposed to this, will have the space to make this a reality? Are they going to go out and buy acres when they're a lawyer? Are you going to see a store manager on their land working farm? These massive spaces for these massive modern agricultural methods? I couldn't see anyone doing this much and going this far when it doesn't concern them and it has nothing to do with them. Modern agricultural methods should be focusing on those that want to be farmers in the future, those that want to lead our nation and really give us that food security. This is why my team and I firmly stand against this moot. Be it resolved that exposing all secondary school students in Grenada to modern agricultural methods will strengthen national food security. I thank you.
With protocol already established by my first speaker, greetings. As second speaker, I will reassert my team's case proposing the moot. Be it resolved that exposing all secondary school students in Grenada to modern agricultural methods will strengthen food security. I will then expound on my very own points. Argument number 1. By educating students, you in turn help them learn how to adapt to climate change. Not only do agricultural methods help students how to learn to operate a farm, it also teaches them how to adapt and bounce back from the effects of climate change. For example, in times of hurricanes like Beryl, because the students were already exposed, they can assist local farmers or even their very own farm to bounce back. Methods such as rainwater harvesting, watershed management, and improved drainage systems can greatly impact how farmers, fishers, and students become more resilient. Opponents, during times of floods, cyclones, and droughts, students with small farms did not know how bad they would have been affected. But now, because of education, we are aware. Argument number 2. With education, we have less input. Yes, you heard me correctly, less input. According to the Green Climate Fund, local production accounts for only 30% of food consumption. The other 70% imported. Now, how does this apply? Well, allow me to enlighten you. Tying in with the first point from my pioneer speaker, when students are exposed to job opportunities, which in turn reduces the amount of import we take. Here's a fun fact. Did you know that with less import, our economy is also impacted? Yes. With less import, it means more money in the bank to educate students or help needy farmers. Just imagine a country where students and farmers work hand in hand to promote not only food security, but to help the adaptation to climate change and lessen imports. The money that we save from less import can be used to support local farmers and protect our community on a whole by promoting climate resilience and food security. Judges, wouldn't you agree? More and more import means less and less money for teaching students about said techniques. I thank you.
Standing before you today as second speaker of the opposition, my duty is clear: to solidify our stance and to demonstrate that this motion simply cannot stand under the closest scrutiny. I will do this today under 3 well-rounded points under the moot. Be it resolved that exposing all secondary school students in Grenada to modern agricultural methods will strengthen national food security. Good morning, all. Firstly, we need to realize that these modern methods are simply too expensive. Not every school can afford to implement, for example, drip irrigation systems or first flush diverters in every school. According to the CDB, one drip irrigation system costs $2,200 per acre to implement. Judges, think about the schools who have upwards of 2 acres of land behind their schools. Where will they get the funding from? Now, my opponents may say that that's when the government will step in to fund these systems, but judges, we need to realize that the government are already funding more important projects like the distribution of laptops in the lower farms. Our needs and wants are unlimited, but the funds we have are limited. Therefore, judges, if we already cannot implement it in the schools, how can we say that this will now strengthen our national food security? Secondly, we need to realize that aside from the ridiculously high cost, we need to think about the clearing, repairment, and the technical knowledge that these systems will bring. Studies from the FAO show that poorly maintained systems lose 30 to 40% of efficiency within the first few months. Without the proper training and funding for maintenance, these systems end up as expensive decorations, not solutions. Do we really want to waste money we already do not have when it can be put towards something that is more beneficial? I think not. Lastly, are we really going to sit here and pretend that students don't already have a lot on their plate? Forcing them to go into agriculture when they are simply not interested is cruelty. According to the Food and Agriculture Organization, lack of interest is one of the biggest issues in agriculture. If students are already occupied and still not interested, why should we further force them to strain themselves? We, the opposition, care about our fellow students, don't you? If they don't want to, they simply don't need to. It should be an option. If the students want to learn, then of course they will learn. But if they are already stressed and uninterested, how can this possibly strengthen our national food security? With my first speaker's foundation laid and my reinforcement, it is clear that this motion is a house built on sand and it cannot stand. I thank you.
Now, the opponent, secondary school students are already being exposed to modern agricultural methods. Did this strengthen national food security?
Yes, it did, because many students in secondary school are doing small farming just because of the fun of it, but also because they have interest in it.
But this didn't necessarily improve national food security. But I'd like to move on to my next question, please. How is agriculture the key to success, according to your first speaker, if a student wants to be a lawyer or any profession that's outside of agriculture?
Well, my opponents, the agriculture can be, let's say, a plan B. If the lawyer or the doctor, whatever you said, didn't work out, they can also use the agriculture to rely on as a sense of income. It can be a hustling for them until they are ready. And we all know law school and doctors are very expensive, so they can use those agriculture activities as a fundraising to them to help them pay for their schools.
Let us not forget that agriculture is also a really expensive sector, but I'd like to move on to my next question.
Your first speaker stated that with more modern agricultural methods among secondary school students, there will be less inputs. My other opponent, what makes you so sure that the students that are exposed will contribute to national food security?
Well, by them being exposed to this, as I previously stated, they will do basic farming, and by them doing basic farming, it can help with crop rotation, and we won't have to rely on other countries to get our nutritious foods that we need.
But my other opponent, do you know that we still have to take into consideration the students who are not interested?
Yes, we do.
Okay, your first speaker stated that exposing students to modern agricultural methods will provide job opportunities. Will each and every student get a job in agriculture for sure?
No, it's not. The mood does not say mandatory. It's exposing agricultural methods to all students. If they are interested, then and they want to become a farmer, then it will be beneficial to them.
And
the other students can also gain some knowledge on the topic, but if they want to be a doctor or a nurse or something else, they can pursue their dream.
And opponents, exposing doesn't have to be going on the farm and doing hard labor. They can be exposed to videos and observation as well.
They are already exposed, as we already established.
Opponents, if not being taught or exposed, how will we know how to adapt to climate change?
Students will be taught. They would choose to do agriculture if they want to, and then we would adapt to climate change. We should not force all students to do it, as my first speaker stated.
But don't you think that they should at least get the exposure to those agricultural methods?
If they don't want to, we must not force them.
My opponents, remember the mood said just exposing all students. It is not mandatory. As I stated, if they don't want to, they don't have to. Moving on to my next question. What are some agricultural methods that can be used to ensure food security?
My other opponent, drip irrigation.
So isn't drip irrigation being taught or exposed to some students?
Yes, in agriculture, which they get to choose to do, and if they don't want to do it, they don't choose to do it.
Yes, but students in Farm 1 and Farm 2, they get the exposure to those agricultural activities. So when they're reaching Farm 3 and higher farms, they basically have the primary knowledge to see if they would actually want to do the subject.
Yet, our food security situation is the way that it is, proving that we, through this, did not really improve food security, but it's at the same level.
If agricultural methods are taught or are exposed to students, won't that reduce importation of food? As my second speaker stated, 30% of food alone is being grown in Grenada.
Teaching students is one thing, but let us also remember that not everyone who is taught would use the information to improve this situation.
So those that are being taught and would use it, won't it reduce food importation in our country?
Let us remember that for years, agriculture has been taught in schools, and this is still the situation with food security, meaning that this initiative does not necessarily strengthen our situation.
Opponents, but students these days, they like technical stuff. Not all students want to be lawyers and stuff, but as I said, by exposing them, I think that it will greatly impact the food security in Grenada.
And they are already exposed to agriculture science, which is in schools already, yet this is the situation.
Which is more effective? Educating students on modern agricultural methods or introducing them to laws and policies?
Judges, audience, opponents, let's cut through the noise. Today, I stand here to dismantle weak claims, expose flawed logic, and set the record straight with facts. First and foremost, exposing students to these modern agriculture methods can provide job opportunities, as stated by the first speaker of the proposition. However, judges, don't be fooled by such a misleading point. Quoted from my POI speakers, will each and every student get a job in agriculture? The obvious answer is no. Not only that, but according to my first and second speaker, the exposure of these modern agriculture methods would put extra strain on the child who is not interested. Judges, why should we, the children who want to become lawyers, technicians, and so forth, be held accountable for the possibility of strengthening local food security? Moving on. During the POI, the speakers of the propositions mentioned that not every child would go into the agricultural sector, agreeing with our point and contradicting their own stance with the moot. The exposure that they speak of, judges, worthy opponents, is not enough to strengthen our food security. With the points of my first and second speaker strongly reinforced, I stand here in confidence that the foundation that we have laid is the only right one, and that exposing all secondary school students in Grenada to modern agricultural methods will not strengthen national food security. I thank you.
After carefully listening to my opponent's arguments and hearing their flashy words and polished delivery, beneath all that flair, their arguments still fall short. Allow me to debunk their fallacious claims. Opponents, your first speaker stated that not all students are interested and should not partake in these such activities and practices. This sounds reasonable. However, it fails to consider the fact that exposing students to these agricultural methods, they are exposed to new job opportunities. As stated by my first speaker, hands-on learning and practices ensure food security. This helps students who come from low-income families or poverty to provide for themselves. Secondly, your second speaker claimed that modern methods are too expensive. This may be true, however, it overlooks the fact that funding can be done through fundraisers, collaborations, and investments that come from governments. They also made mention that practicing these methods are not that important. Opponents, is ensuring food security for our nation not important? Educating students, you in turn help them learn how to adapt to climate change, be aware and become resilient in the effects of climate change, which can also support our communities. Now that we've exposed the flaws, reinforced our facts, and upheld reason, there's only one conclusion left. Our team stance remains stronger and more sustainable. I rest my case. Thank you.
And the winner is St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary School. Another powerful display of reasoning and teamwork from our quarterfinalists. Well done to both schools. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the 2025 Grenlec Debates. Stay tuned for more as the competition continues on MTV, GBN, and Grenlec's YouTube channel.
Grenada, the stage is set. Brilliant minds, fresh perspectives. It's more than competition. It's confidence, creativity, and critical thinking in action. The Grenlec Debates, powering bright ideas.